All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're digging into the economic tug-of-war between India and the United States. You know, they're two of the world's biggest democracies, but when money and trade are on the line, things can get, well, pretty complicated.
So let's just lay it all out. On the one hand, you've got these major strategic partners working together on all sorts of global issues. But then, on the other hand, they're fierce trade rivals stuck in this tense fight over tariffs. So how can they be both at the same time? That's the puzzle we're going to piece together today.
So, how does a great friendship like this hit such a major speed bump? Well, in this case, it really all boils down to one thing: a single, powerful, and pretty controversial tool in the world of trade.
And that tool is the tariff. It's pretty simple, really. A tariff is just a tax that one country slaps on stuff coming in from another country. It makes those imported goods more expensive. And tariffs became the weapon of choice in this conflict that started brewing a few years back.
The first shots, if you want to call them that, in this trade war were fired back in 2018. And that really kicked off this whole chain reaction of moves and countermoves that put a huge strain on the economic ties between Washington and New Delhi. So here's how it all went down. It starts in 2018, when the US hits the world with these big tariffs on steel and aluminum. Now, India didn't just take that lying down. Nope, it fired back, taking the US to the World Trade Organization and hitting 28 American products with its own taxes. Then, things really escalated in 2019 with a huge move from the US. They kicked India out of a really important trade program called GSP.
And just look at how big these tariffs were. We are not talking about a tiny little tax. It was a whopping 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum. Just imagine your company trying to sell that stuff to the US. That kind of tax is a massive, immediate blow to your business.
So what exactly is this GSP program that the US pulled the plug on? Well, it was a massive deal for developing countries. The Generalized System of Preferences let nations like India export literally thousands of different products to the US completely tax-free. So, losing that? Ouch. It was a major hit, and it instantly made Indian goods a lot more expensive and way less competitive in the American market.
You know, every conflict has two sides, and this trade fight is absolutely no exception. To really get what was going on, we need to look at the arguments coming from both Washington and New Delhi.
Okay, so from Washington's point of view, the whole thing came down to one word: fairness. The US basically said, look, for years, our companies just haven't been getting a fair shot in India. They felt the playing field was tilted, and they had some pretty specific examples to back that up.
So here were their main complaints. The US pointed to stuff like India's price caps on medical devices, which really hurt American companies that make things like stents and knee implants. They also called out India's super strict import rules for dairy and pork as trade barriers. And then there were the regulations around genetically modified foods. For the US, it all added up to one thing: our companies aren't getting equal access.
India's response, on the other hand, was all about its economic reality. New Delhi's argument was basically, hey, you can't treat a developing economy the same way you treat a fully developed one. They argued that their industries needed certain kinds of support and protection, like that GSP program, just to have a chance to grow and compete on the world stage.
And digging into their defense a little more, India said that GSP status was absolutely crucial for its development. They also pointed out that their overall tariff rates were actually pretty low compared to other countries at a similar stage. And they tried to frame the GSP program as a win-win, not some kind of handout. India gets into the US market, and American consumers get access to more affordable stuff. Everybody wins, right?
So after a few years of this back and forth of escalating tensions, I think both sides started to realize that this endless fight just wasn't really working for anyone. The whole conversation slowly but surely started to shift away from confrontation and toward finding some kind of common ground.
So how did they actually manage to de-escalate? Well, you can see the roadmap right here. First, they agreed to just clear the air. They settled a bunch of old disputes they had at the WTO. Then came the real give and take. India made a big move, dropping its payback tariffs on American products like apples and almonds. And in return, the US eased up a bit, offering some exemptions for Indian steel and aluminum from those original tariffs.
And it's so important to see that these weren't just random acts of kindness. Not at all. They were very deliberate, foundational steps. Each little compromise was designed to build some trust and hopefully pave the way for something even bigger. What a lot of people were hoping would turn into a mini trade deal. Okay, so that brings us pretty much up to today. Where does this incredibly important economic partnership stand right now? And maybe more importantly, what are the big challenges still waiting around the corner? This table gives us a fantastic snapshot of where things are, and you can see a really clear split. On one side, you have amazing collaboration happening in huge areas like technology, defense, and building new supply chains. That's all great. But on the other side, some of those old trade problems are still lingering, especially when it comes to newer issues like digital taxes, rules about where data is stored, and patent protections.
So if there's one big lesson to take away from this whole saga, it's this. The India-US relationship proves that a country can be your friend and your rival at the exact same time. Strategic partnership and tough economic competition, they can coexist. But, and this is the most important part, it doesn't just happen on its own. It takes constant talk, constant negotiation, and a genuine willingness to compromise.
And all of that leaves us with one final and really critical question for the future. As India tries to figure out these unresolved issues, what's the right move? Should it stand firm on its positions on things like digital taxes and data rules? Or is more compromise the only path forward to really unlock the full potential of this powerful partnership? We'd love to know what you think.